Dominique Wilkins.
Hey, this is Sean Kemp.
This is Gary Payton.
Hey, this is Pau Gasol.
NBA fans, what's up? This is Vince Carter here.
Hey, what's up? This is Matt Barnes. If you're an old school NBA fan like I am, make sure you check out the Basketball Time Machine with my man Sean David.
Hey guys, good day to y'all. My name is Sean David. Welcome back to the Basketball Time Machine. I would say it's time to check out some old school NBA basketball. In today's episode, I want to take a look at NBA legends giving their opinion about how great Sir Charles Barkley was. And I hope I found some clips that you probably haven't seen before. So let's see how it goes. But before we dive into today's episode, let me ask you guys for a small favor. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the show and also like the video if you enjoy the content. All right, enough said. Let's get right into it. Now the first players that we're going to take a look at are basically colleagues of Charles, so Shaq, Kenny Smith, and Greg Anthony. Let's have a look.
I'm a bad dog.
Here comes Sir Charles. Whammo!
Charles Barkley, the round mound of rebound. What made Charles so great is because you always hear the term size doesn't matter. And for Charles Barkley, size did not matter. You know, as a center, centers are always 6'10", 6'11", 7 foot. Power forwards are always 6'8", 6'9", 6'10", not Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley was a solid 6'4", and he didn't care if you were taller, if you were bigger, if you were faster, you were stronger. He was going to go through it, and nothing could stop this man. And, a guy that played with that tenacity, with that speed, with that force, plus the mentality that he had of not caring. You could tell by some of his interviews, he was going to be hard to stop.
Money doesn't matter. Endorsements don't matter. The only thing matters is winning.
Chuck was just different, man. He's small, but, man, the things he could do on the floor, most guys have the physical tools and the look that goes with that. But Chuck, he didn't have that, but there was just nobody better at creating space to get to their spots. And then he just had a complete game. He's a great passer. I don't think he gets enough credit for how good a passer he was. And you talk about that kill gene, where when it was time, that guy delivered more often than not. And I always admired Chuck too, because I just never felt like anybody had more fun playing a game than Charles Barkley.
Now the next player's opinion that we're going to take a look at is from Hersey Hawkins. Hawkins obviously played with Sir Charles Barkley when he was still playing for the Philadelphia 76ers. Let's have a look.
Next chapter of your life starts. You go to the Sixers and you get paired with Charles Barkley. Talk a little bit about what it meant playing with him, scoring side by side with him. I mean, you guys were kind of the 1-2 punch there on a pretty solid team for those of you that don't remember. Talk a little bit about that if you could.
Yeah, Charles was interesting. Really a dear friend of mine still today. Charles was the kind of player that, he just exude confidence. He knew he was a good player, and he demonstrated that every night.
Barkley was a dominant player, extremely dominant in the post area. He was one of the best and most talented players that's ever played the game of basketball in this system.
One of the great power forwards, particularly at his size, of all time. I mean, just dominating, physical, athletic, mentality. He was a joy to watch. I mean, we loved Barkley. I wasn't a big Sixers fan, but our man Barkley, he was. You watched him like you knew it was going to be elite, high-level, explosive basketball. And then he became this incredible personality and a television star, media darling, and to the point now where I think if you're not old enough, you don't really understand or appreciate just how good he was as a player. As entertaining, as successful, as famous as he is as a broadcaster, he was the same thing, the same level as a basketball player, one of the best ever. I don't even know if you appreciate from watching old footage. Like, you had to just lace him up, go bump with him, see it for yourself. Man, this guy right here was incredible.
Charles had this magnetism about him, and he was very confident. Who wouldn't want to play with a guy like Charles? He wasn't going to lose. I mean, he would take everybody on his back and say, I'm going to get you the promised land.
Barkley is Barkley. I don't think he's 6'3". He was just one of those rare players that size didn't matter. It was just determination.
Rebound Barkley. He battles, he shoots, he scores. Sir Charles.
I mean, he would take on Goliath. I mean, he was just had that bravado about him. So Charles, he was unbelievable what he accomplished for his size.
And the next clip that we're going to take a look at is actually a pretty new one. It is from Isiah Thomas, and he has some pretty interesting things to say about Sir Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley was known as the round mound of rebounds.
Oh, yes.
What did you think the first time you saw him?
That he was a round mound. I mean, really, like the first time I saw him, it was actually on tape, the night that, Philly drafted him. And he was joining Moses Malone, Dr. J, Mo Cheeks, Andrew Toney. So he was joining like a squad. And when they actually showed his picture, I was like, okay, well, Philly may have made a mistake, because, he was overweight, he was just, the round mound, and then when we played against him, it was like he came down and was taking it behind his back, snatching it off the board, dribbling full court, and then that fool jumped. I mean, but when he jumped, it was like, wait a minute, like you really had to like squish your eyes because you hadn't seen anybody like this size move like that.
Miller underneath, off the backboard. Oh, and the Suns win it. Charles Barkley.
I had a real game plan against Chuck, trying to make him shoot that little fadeaway jump shot. If I could get him to turn and just fade away and get a hand up, use my length, because he was just a guy that had a great gift and a great motor for going to the offensive glass, and ended up being the MVP when he was down in Phoenix and get to the finals, and just got better and better and better. And we had a lot of good battles through our careers.
Charles Barkley is probably one of the greatest power forwards of all time, for sure, because of his skill set. He was still able to dominate inside the paint. His rebounding is second to none. I mean, this guy was just a beast on the boards. To be only 6'7" or so and be able to snag 20 rebounds and, on a nightly basis seemed like was incredible.
Charles was a different kind of competitor. He wanted to destroy you. I mean, he was a fun guy, and he's super off the floor, a great guy to be around, but such a competitor on the floor, and there was nothing that he couldn't do on the basketball court.
Here's the lob for Barkley, goes up and jams! Oh, beautiful alley-oop for Sir Charles.
He could get on the roll when the team's down, and he could create a 10-0 run by himself.
And we knew we had a superstar. And not only a superstar, we had a person who could sway the officials one way or the other by his aggressiveness, by his physicality, and that was unheard of besides Karl Malone in the Western Conference.
He was so genuine. He'd give you the shirt off his back. Great teammate. Cared about winning more than anybody I've ever played with as far as when the game started. Hated to practice. Was the worst practice player in the world.
He was the best basketball player I'd ever played with. I'm not saying he's the best basketball player ever, but the one I played with, he was the best basketball player I'd ever played with.
And I would have to really think long and hard to think of any player that played an entire season that year or any other year with more determination to win than Charles Barkley.
Barkley dish off to Ceballos, back to Barkley, and a nice give and go. Barkley goes in for the jam.
He'd always believed in himself, but I think that for him to win the MVP over Michael Jordan is something that legitimized his career in a way that probably more so than anything else.
Now, if you follow my show on a regular basis, then you know that I covered plenty of videos about Sir Charles Barkley. And there is actually a pretty good reason for it. I have the feeling that especially with the younger generation, they only know him from NBA TV, and because of the fact that he's cracking jokes and he's so hilarious and stuff, it often gets overlooked what a great and sensational player he really was. To me, Sir Charles Barkley has a legit case of being in the top 3 power forwards of all time. Alright you guys, that was it for today's episode. Hope you enjoyed the content. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time on the Basketball Time Machine.